What are you saying, geezers? It's Speci, and we're looking at the best Pool 3 decks, not including any Pool 4 or 5 cards. We are including Battle Pass cards. Of course, this is just one person's opinion. The most important thing to do in climbing to infinite rank is snapping well. And my top tip always is fold more often for 1 cube. If you lose a game for 1 cube, start treating that like a little bit of a victory. Because honestly, if you start taking that mentality on board, I would imagine you're going to have a big difference and you're going to start climbing the ranked ladder more often. A lot of the decks that are going to be at the higher tiers are capable of winning 8 cube games, and a lot of them that are sort of a bit lower are consistently good, but don't have that little bit of oomph, that little bit of spice and surprise value to win you those 8 cube games. First up, we have Cerebro. This is representing Cerebro 2, which is the most popular Cerebro deck. This deck is great at getting those surprise 8 cube games. However, the problem with this deck is that there's so many things which cause it a problem. For example, if you miss Cerebro, the deck is done. Also, a location that changes the power like Wakandan Embassy or Monster Island ruins this. Scorpion is incredibly popular and that is really, really powerful. Therefore, I'm not going to put it in the A tier, but it is going to be solidly in the B tier. I think it's a very good deck. You can definitely get to infinite with this one. So, yeah. Death up next. Death represents Death Wave. Very popular back in the day. However, many of the top decks in the meta counter this. Leech, Leader, Aero can really disrupt this deck. I'm going to put it into the B tier. It's not really getting you that many cubes, but it is pretty consistently good. Doesn't have that big surprise value anymore. If someone plays Wave on turn 5, at this point, most people are going to be expecting the death. Maybe not. Of course, She-Hulk can make this deck stronger, but honestly, I don't think She-Hulk's even that good in this deck anyway, so I wouldn't worry about the fact that you don't have She-Hulk here. Lockjaw up next. Lockjaw, a lot of you are going to be expecting to go quite high up. I was too until I tested it today. Absolutely garbage. It is really bad. I mean, obviously it's not that bad. I'm going to put it in the C tier, but really struggling right now. So many rocks in the deck. In the meta, this deck turns into Lockjaw. Really poor. If you miss Lockjaw, it struggles. If you find Lockjaw, you can still just struggle with having a nice mana curve. You never win 8 cubes with this deck, hardly ever. Nah, it's just I would avoid Lockjaw. There is a deck in this that does have Lockjaw, and it actually feels like a much, much better deck, so we'll get onto that. Daredevil up next. Daredevil also popular in Destroy, but this is just an all-out Daredevil, just focusing on it with Professor X, Spider-Man, D tier. It's consistent at winning games, but you're not going to be winning enough cubes, and there's definitely a better option of playing Daredevil in a Destroy deck. I just wanted to give this deck a mention. Agatha, obviously amazing. No. Terrible. Destroyer up next. This is the deck I was mentioning with Daredevil. Destroyer is really good. It just wins you a lot of cubes consistently. Doesn't have that surprise value until people started adding Spectrum to the deck. And now, with Spectrum or Destroyer as your finisher, you have that Bamboozle surprise value, which is going to catch people off guard and win you those 8 cube games, meaning that you've got a consistent win rate deck with also that little bit of spice, that little bit of potential to farm those 8 cube victories, helping you climb up the rank ladder much more quickly. Devil Dinosaur. Now, Devil Dinosaur's a tricky one. It's definitely up the top. The question is it in S tier? And while I think that some of the other decks in S tier are quite a bit better, I do think Devil Dinosaur deserves to be in the S tier. Very, very powerful. Of course, with Moon Girl, you can get a couple of dinosaurs. 17 points on this card is no joke. I have been seeing some builds that play Zabu and Devil Dinosaur. That's an option. I think it's just hard to go wrong with Dino, and I think it deserves A tier. I'm going to put it in A tier. There's definitely an argument to put it in S. My problem is, it's hard to win those 8 cube games, to be fair. But if you got like cards like Aero in there, maybe like a Leader in there, maybe suddenly it is an S tier. But I'm going to put it conservatively in the A tier. But then I feel like maybe Destroyer should also drop down, which I think is fair. I think we can put Destroyer down here and Dino up here. Maybe we could even drop Death down a little bit. Okay. Doctor Strange up next. Movement. Mate, I love movement. I'm very biased. A lot of people would say it's like a D tier. No way! It's at least C tier. And I'm going to put it right at the top of C tier. I want to put it in B tier. For me personally, I think that this deck is one of the most underrated decks in the whole game. But I am going to put it in C tier because I know a lot of people don't think it's that good. Leech makes a big difference to this deck, having that option. It is one of the most difficult decks to pilot. I think if you're good at playing this deck, it can definitely get you to infinite. You can farm 8 cube victories, but I'm going to put it in C tier. Electro up next. Now, Electro is a very good deck because you can farm those 6 cube wins. You often snap if you have Electro. You can play a card like Leader on turn 5, or Aero, or Doctor Doom, and then on turn 6 you can play Odin to copy that big value card. I'm going to put it into the A tier. I think it's really, really good. Can't really go wrong. Hela up next. She's in the F tier. She just gets completely wrecked by Aero and Cosmo, which are two very popular cards. Of course, you've already got the discard RNG, where you can discard your own Hela and then the deck's a bust. You can not draw Hela and then the deck's a bust. And you should never really be winning 8 cubes against any competent player, because they see that you haven't discarded your Hela, they should run. And then if you do discard your Hela, they snap and then you have to run. So really bad. Kazar up next. I'm going to put it in the D tier. Just gets completely wrecked to Killmonger. Maybe it's slightly better than just like all in Daredevil, but it's pretty bad. I would just avoid it. Leader next. Leader represents the Leech, Leader, Aero, mid-rangey deck, just good cards. I'm going to put it in the A tier. I think it's a very, very solid deck. Can't really go wrong with it. You should certainly be able to hit Infinite with it. Mr. Negative. Now, Mr. Negative, I'm a little bit torn on. I'm torn between A tier and S tier as well. The difference between Devil Dinosaur and Mr. Negative is pretty big. Devil Dinosaur is consistently good. Mr. Negative is consistently inconsistent. However, you can just be folding for 1 cube with this deck and snapping on when you draw your Mr. Negative, and you should climb like it's nobody's business. I think this deck deserves to go in the A tier, because it does get a lot better when you get access to Bast, and therefore I don't think it quite deserves to be in the S tier. Obviously, there's a few different builds for a Negative as well. Like, you can play Silver Surfer, you can play other stuff. I'm not sure exactly which is the best in pool 3, but I think without Bast, it doesn't deserve the S tier rating. Patriot up next. Patriot is, again, there's a couple of different options. You can play Silver Surfer Patriot or Ultron Patriot. I think you could make a case to put it in the A tier. I'm going to put it in the B tier personally. In my experience, I don't really think that Patriot's very good. I honestly think it's pretty meh. So I'm going to put it in the B tier, but the lower B tier. Some people would argue differently. My experience with this card is it's not very good, and I've played a lot of it. Red Skull up next. I'm going to put in the D tier. This is a deck which can use the big cards. Taskmaster on your Red Skull. It gets a lot better with Shuri. It gets a lot better with Sauron. It gets completely wrecked by Shang-Chi at this stage, because you might play like a Venom. You can play Zero, of course, but yeah, it's just not very good. I would avoid. Sarah up next. Sarah represents sort of these Sarah Miracle decks, which have been very popular since the start of closed beta. It's not like a deck that I have much experience with. I think it's probably pretty good. It should get you quite a lot of those 8 cube wins, which are very important. We'll put it in the B tier. Shang-Chi, this represents just an all-out control deck where you play all the counter cards, Killmonger, Shang-Chi, Enchantress, etc. I put it in the C tier. I think it probably is not that good, but it's probably okay. It's going to win you some 8 cube games, but it's going to probably have a low win rate. Zabu. Absolutely, unbelievably beyond belief broken. I'm going to be posting a video tomorrow, most likely, or the following day, where I cover the best Zabu deck for pool 3 only. It is insane. I did a coaching session today. Again, if you want to do coaching, hit me up on Discord. I did a coaching session today, and this deck had like an 87% win rate. I think we went 13-2, so I'm not sure on the exact percentage. 13 wins, 2 losses. Unbelievable how good this card is. Apocalypse up next. Okay, so Apocalypse is the discard Lockjaw deck. It's really good. I think it's very underrated. I've been playing a lot of it. I posted a video on it. I'm going to put it solidly into the B tier. I'm going to put it above quite a lot of these other things. I honestly think that it could maybe sneak into A tier, but I think it's like higher B tier. I really do believe this is really, really solid. Mate, I'm putting movement in here. I don't care. I think movement is pretty blooming good. I don't care. It's hard to play, but if you're good at the video game and you can get movement down to a T, you will farm cubes. You really, really will. There's so many mind games with this deck. I don't care. I don't care. Silver Surfer, S tier. Let's be honest. Insane. Not as good as Zabu, not even close, but it's just a great deck. And you're starting to see a bit of a problem, guys, aren't you? The Battle Pass cards. Is this a pay-to-win game? It's starting to look a little bit like that. Final 2 Storm represents like a Heimdall Bamboozle deck. This is my favorite pool 2 deck. However, by the time you get into Series 3, there's better options. So, while I think this is an underestimated deck, I don't think it's that great. Finally, Viper, which represents a Clog archetype with things like Octopus, maybe Black Widow. This deck becomes a lot better when you have access to Titania. but I think going all in on the clog is never really going to serve you too well. It's D tier. This is my final tier list. I'm pretty happy with it. I think we can maybe swap that round. Maybe we swap this round too. Maybe even swap this round. Pretty hard to like tell exactly. I'm pretty happy with how this looks. What do you guys think? Would you agree? Is there anything you disagree with in my tier list? I know that a lot of you are going to be surprised to see Lockjaw down here, but honestly, not been impressed. The better Lockjaw deck, in my opinion, is without doubt Discard, having played a lot of games with both. I think that we could make a case to bump Mr. Negative up, Devil Dinosaur as well. But overall, pretty happy with how this tier list is looking. Definitely Zabu, by far and away the best Pool 3 meta deck. Make sure you check out my guide on that, which is coming out in the next couple of days. If you watch this far, give the video a like. Let me know in the comments anything you disagree with. And the key word to let me know you watched all of the video is hairbrush, because I have a hairbrush. Thanks so much. See you on the next one. Bye.